Vice Governor. Thank you again for inviting the World Bank for this conference. Um, Let me start by saying that the journey that we have gone through with you, with all countries in the Western Balkans on this SEPA path and on modernization of payments has been really remarkable, right? And from the institutional point of view, I can definitely confirm that. But it's not only remarkable; it's really heroic if you look at this from my perspective. Um, the job that you have all done from the early start, when, let's be honest, half of the people didn't even know what SEPA is, right? Payments were something there, right? It is important, but we are not looking at it until the mere fact that we demonstrated and showcased that it's actually the bloodline of the economy, it's the channels of the economy, it's what we do every day, right? It's what we need every day, and it's what actually costs us, right? There are associated costs not only for businesses, but also for people. And I think from that perspective, this has been extremely important endeavor, and I really, in personal name, but also in the institutional name, really proud of the work that has gone through this. I would argue that beyond the leadership, let me emphasize this part. Beyond the leadership of the governors and the vice governors in the Western Balkans, it's also about the teams in the central banks. Without that, without really professional, really dedicated teams that work on the legal side, on the payment side, on the AML side, these are all extremely important pieces of puzzles, which all the deadlines, all the 2 months, 4 months, 6 months will not be there if those people really didn't work as heavy as possible. So I really want to congratulate on that side as well, on the great capacity of the central bank staff that you all have in your institution. I think that from what is important to mention is that we looked at this process not as central bank issue. We have looked at this process as the economy issue, as the issue that impacts, again, I'll reference it again, that impacts people and businesses, that impacts citizens of your countries. Yes, it's about it's about laws, it's about regulations, it's about various instructions that that need to be prepared. Yes, it's about infrastructure, so the connections that need to be established. But but at the end of the day, it's about what type of impact and what kind of economic value added can be achieved once you do that. So I think from that end, I really want to emphasize the benefits of both SEPA, but also the infrastructure connections that we are working currently on with the Bank of Italy solution, or actually TIPS European solution that is that the Bank of Italy will adapt for the Western Balkans. I think that those benefits are critical, and these are not minor benefits, right? I mean, we not only through our own engagement by me paying something here with my card, or me sending to my friend in the Western Balkans. By my colleagues have small businesses that want to trade and want to buy products or sell products to somebody in the European Union. These are super high cost when you compare it. Well, I'll be biased. When you compare it what I do, what I can get in Croatia or in Belgium where I live now. So this is something that really, first of all, at the beginning of the story, really bugged us, right? Why? I mean, what's the purpose of this, right? Why is there a 12-time difference of one SME sending to the other SME if they are both in EU or if they are in Balkans and with the EU? Why is that so? Why do I need to pay 15 euros on average for a transaction of me sending 100 euros to somebody? it doesn't have logic, right? Or it doesn't have the personal logic that you want to see happening on the ground. So this is something that motivated us, right? To gain that benefits, to reduce those costs, because they are not justified, right? Yes, there are justification in terms of, okay, there is a political risk. Yes, there is a credit rating that is lower than this one. But at the end of the day, if you look at it from a, I would say, let's say, legal perspective, the laws now that we have adapted to the European Union acquis, the laws are the same. The implementation, okay, one more, few steps here, few steps there, but at the end of the day, it's not justifiable for that span, for that range that we see in these countries. And it's not, I mean, and this is important because as Governor Ismaili also mentioned, and Vice Governor Natevska, I mean, this is, we live from the European Union, right? So it's 70%, well, it can be from 60 to 80 actually, percent in the Western Balkans of our trade, of our remittances that people send, and also support the economy from that point of view. So it's important, right? It's a national issue and a strategic issue that needs to be uncovered. The process. Let me go back on the origin of your question. The process is not easy, right? By all means, and you, Zorica, know the very best. I mean, it's about. I mean, at the end of the day, you are being judged by footnotes, right? Whether the footnote says could or would, or there is a comma or not, and you are being judged by a lot of people, right? You are being judged by the European Commission, not only one part of the European Commission, but many parts of the European Commission. You are being judged by EPC, you are being judged by World Bank, you are being judged by ECB, you're being judged by public, because at the end of the day, these are your laws, right? Your laws that you need to pass through your consultation, your laws that you need to defend towards the public. So it's not an easy process, right? And sometimes it's frustrating because sometimes while SEPA is a great idea, and while SEPA works very well inside the European Union, with the Western Balkans on the outside of the SEPA, it was not thought through that in that extent, right? So it's also a learning curve, because sometimes something that we take for granted, for instance, I'll give you an example of cross-border equivalence of prices. It only works within the European Union. It doesn't work in one-leg operation. So it's something that it's still, I think that we are still seeing or trying to figure out what kind of quick fixes we can do, and we can support the central banks and the European Commission to iron it. But it's still a process, right? It's still a process that requires a lot of attention. One thing that I want to highlight as well is the aspect of financial inclusion, right? So I think that from that aspect, this is something that needs to be highlighted a lot, because at the end of the day, we are not doing this for ourselves, right? We are doing this again for our citizens. And our citizens need to be informed, need to understand what's going on, right? They need to understand the benefits of us being a SEPA member, of us modernizing our payment systems, of us potentially having instant payment systems, of us having various services, QR codes, requests to pay. There are plenty of services that can be added on the system that actually are not there for central bank or Ministry of Finance, that are there for the citizens of our countries. So I think from that angle, this is also quite important. There is also an inclusivity in all of this. So you have the vulnerable groups, you have the people that have not yet had the opportunity to have an account, open an account, use the account. In all my remarks and in all my discussions, I always use pardon my biased and impersonal examples, but I always use my mom, right? In a way of, how do I make sure my mom uses this, right? How do I make sure that she doesn't pull out all her money when she gets a transfer and stash the cash somewhere, right? How do I make sure that this is something that she can use, right? How do I make sure that she's comfortable of using, which is the role of the central bank in looking that this is safe, nobody can cheat on me, there are checks and balances everywhere. So I think from that angle as well, this is critical and important to highlight. From the World Bank perspective, we have really been present on these aspects from the very, very early beginning. I mean, we were discussing yesterday with Vice Governor Kalezic when these ideas actually came true, right? Again, as I said, I mean, if you turn the clock like 3, 4, maybe years ago, this was really something that 5% of people actually understood what it is, right, among the policymakers. So I think from that angle, we are very proud that we have managed to be there with all of you, with all of the countries in the Western Balkans. We are very proud to support you, to help you out, to assist you. And again, as I do want to highlight this fact one more time, I think the glory is with you. The glory is definitely not with us. I mean, we can handhold you, we can push you, we can sometimes threaten you. We're good at that as a World Bank, but the glory is fully on your side, right? Because without you, without your teams, this is impossible.